The benefits of asynchronous instruction. When preparing to teach online, instructors are faced with the challenge of finding an appropriate balance between synchronous and asynchronous instruction. In this video, we will investigate the benefits of asynchronous instruction and explain why it is preferable to synchronous instruction for knowledge transfer. In our context, knowledge transfer is the dissemination of knowledge from one individual to others, as opposed to disseminating skills or attitudes. The most common example of knowledge transfer is an instructor speaking in a lecture, passing their knowledge of a subject to their students. What is asynchronous instruction? Asynchronous teaching takes place when participants are engaging with the course content at different times and potentially from different locations. For remote teaching, this usually means the instructor provides students with tasks which can be done independently. So, what are some uses of asynchronous instruction? Asynchronous instruction can go beyond students watching recorded lectures on their own time. It can also be used when students are exploring arguments and issues raised in course materials. Students can also engage asynchronously with concept raised by course materials or concept raised by discussion or your lectures or videos. Asynchronous learning is also appropriate when students are mentoring each other or working in small groups, collaboratively, or on a project or assignment. However, as explained by Akorful and Abaidu, be sure to give students an appropriate time frame to complete asynchronous group work, as time between communication can be delayed. For these reasons and more, asynchronous instruction is a great choice for knowledge transfer. What are the benefits of asynchronous instruction? According to Cheng, asynchronous classroom instructional strategies may promote significantly higher cognitive student learning outcomes than synchronous instructional strategies. This is because students have time to process ideas and concepts and to develop their own in-depth thinking. Vilegel found that the pacing of this type of learning is flexible and students can work more at their own pace and in their own time frame, as opposed to a specific and rigid class time. Because of this flexibility, discussions can take place between students in different locations and time zones. Hugh and Lowe found that asynchronous approach is the most effective when instructors use short quizzes at the start of each in-class synchronous session. Assessing students regularly through check-ins helps students' learning and helps them be more accountable for their own learning. These assessments don't necessarily need to be graded, but they do need to be seen as appropriate and as a guide to allow students to reflect in their own learning. Regular formative assessments anchor students' asynchronous learning by providing check-ins and accountability. According to O'Flaherty and Phillips, the asynchronous approach increased attendance from 30 to 80% when the blended approach model was used. That is, using both synchronous and asynchronous instruction. Further evidence of the benefits of asynchronous instruction can be found in the pitfalls of synchronous instruction. So, what are some limitations of synchronous teaching? The main limitation of synchronous learning is that everyone must be online at the same time, and this may not always be possible or practical. This is because the window of time to respond is often quite small, leaving for little time for processing. Furthermore, when using text chat, the speed at which learners can type can impact their engagement. Chen and Liu found that students who typed slower were more reluctant to type in class chat and were less willing to engage with in-depth issues and discussions. Finally, if there are a large number of students, the number of discussions and chats can be overwhelming for students. With all this being said, it is also important to consider the limitations of asynchronous instruction. So, what are some limitations of asynchronous instruction? Akorful and Abaidu found that students may have mixed or even polarized feelings about asynchronous instruction as it requires stronger motivation, self-regulatory, and time management skills. As well, students may struggle initially to adjust to the asynchronous classroom and to perceive the value of interactive asynchronous learning approaches. They may have difficulty staying organized without regular faculty contact. According to Hassini, a lack of nonverbal cues and social context cues can be detrimental to a student's clarity and understanding. Furthermore, Akorful and Abaidu found that asynchronous discussions can be time-consuming for instructors. Finally, responses to comments and questions are not too immediate, and impetus may wane if there's too much time between responses. After seeing the limitations of asynchronous instruction, it is clear that there are times when it should not be used. So, when might synchronous instruction be a better option? Well, during initial discussions with the class, during your office hours, while brainstorming sessions for a class or group projects are happening, when delivering an interactive presentation, or during student presentations, or when guest speakers are present, and finally during informal study sessions or pre-exam Q&A sessions. Now that we've covered the pros and cons of asynchronous learning, let's discuss some practical tools that will facilitate you as you incorporate this type of instruction into your course. What are some resources one can use to support asynchronous learning? Instructors teaching in an asynchronous environment have various tools at their disposal. Firstly, email, which can be used as one-to-one or one-to-many communication. Discussion forums, such as the ones you post on eClass, can involve interactive exchanges between members of the whole class or smaller groups. As well, threaded discussions, groupings of messages within topics, have been a staple in online courses for more than a decade. If you're looking to send an email or get important information to your students, the best tool to do this is eClass in the announcements forum. The resources that can help you in your asynchronous instruction go beyond eClass. Collaboration tools such as Google Docs, wikis, and mind mapping software are great tools to have your students collaborate while working remotely. Other tools that allow students to demonstrate their learning, such as creating videos, using their smartphone, using third-party software, podcasting, blogging, web page creation, Biteable, are all also very useful. While teaching asynchronously, avoid using any platforms that require immediate responses, such as chat or Zoom. Thanks for watching this video. We trust that you now understand what asynchronous learning is, when it should be used, and the learning benefits that it provides.